Today's release, only effective and promising. What awaits Kazakhstan's special economic zones? Kazakh TV correspondent finds out experts' opinion. Pay as you earn, the activities of crypto miners under the special control of the Kazakh government. Kazakh playwright Rollan Seisenbayev received the Golden Writer of the World Award. Details next. The Collective Security Treaty Organization established a special working group on the January events in Kazakhstan. The CSTO Secretary General Stanislav Zas announced. He said that it was the first practical experience and the operation in Kazakhstan showed the effectiveness of existing mechanisms. The military bloc intends to improve crisis response forces as well as set up a biological defense system.
Присутствие в то же время в Казахстане сил УДКБ, оно позволило
The presence of the CSTO forces in Kazakhstan allowed focusing on the counter-terrorism operation. The CSTO peacekeeping forces were guarding strategic and socially significant facilities. The presence of the CSTO contingent played an important stabilizing role. A large-scale and comprehensive investigation of the events that have taken place is currently ongoing with the participation of society.
Тех событий, которые произошли, в том числе с участием общественности.
Безусловно, если будет такая необходимость, будет принято решение.
The Security Council will certainly take measures if necessary. We have all the possibilities and mechanisms to get involved in a situation in any location. We hold military exercises in different countries and different parts every year.
В странах, в разных уголках.
Majority of inefficient special economic zones in Kazakhstan should be closed, leaving only a few profitable and promising ones. In general, the implementation of projects should be approached comprehensively, taking into account their long-term and favorable effect on the domestic economy. This was stated by the expert of the Institute of World Economy and Politics, Maghbat Spanov. He noted that the organization of special economic zones is too costly for the country's budget, and therefore the attention of the head of state to this issue is appropriate and timely. The IWEP representative also indicated that the products of Kazakh entrepreneurs produced in CES should first of all cover the needs of the country and then be imported to the foreign market.
Я понимаю озабоченность руководства страны, потому что тратятся огромные деньги на создание таких свободных экономических зон.
I understand the concern of the country's leadership because a lot of money is spent on the creation of such zones. According to the rule, the state should take onto itself the entire infrastructure and business should just enter and establish some enterprises, companies, and it doesn't always pay off. From one point of view, of course, the formulation of the question is correct. The government, the country's leadership is trying to find measures of a possible of the budget. That's the creation of those mechanisms that will allow money to stay in the country and there will be no capital flight. I think like any problem in Kazakhstan, it is timely and it requires an individual solution.
Как и любая проблема, если брать в Казахстане, она своевременная и она требует своего решения.
Earlier, the head of state held an expanded meeting of the government where he clearly outlined a number of upcoming tasks. Kassam-Jomart Tokayev paid special attention to the question of finding means for economic growth. The president called the CES administration to order. For this, he gave the government a month. I have repeatedly said that most free economic zones have not become effective platforms for attracting investment. This is despite an impressive package of tax incentives of almost $500 billion. What do we get in the end? Over the past 3 years, the volume of goods produced in the free economic zones did not exceed 1.5% of GDP, and the share of their exports is only 0.1%. It's time to put things in order. The first aircraft maintenance service center in Central Asia has been launched in the capital of Kazakhstan. For the first time, military aircraft will be repaired here, and in the future it's planned to serve aircraft in civil aviation.
This
service center is planned to cover the entire Central Asian region in general. As part of the military direction, we are mastering Airbus C295 aircraft. According to the memorandum, Airbus has already conducted a technical audit here. Now we are analyzing our opportunities. The service center says that its creation will allow performing complex repair. Previously, these works were carried out in Spain. Domestic specialists were also trained there. In the next 2 years, it's planned to master the full maintenance of aircrafts already inside the country.
Привлекаются зарубежные специалисты, опытные специалисты.
There are foreign experts, experienced specialists who have worked for many years with aircraft of this type. Skills and experience are transferred. Localization of repair work at domestic enterprises is increasingly observed.
Локализация ремонта в отечественных предприятиях.
According to the development concept of the defense industry, the Ministry of Industry plans to launch the production of Kalashnikov assault rifles in Kokshetau. Cryptocurrency miners in Kazakhstan will pay more tax to the budget, but before it is increased, it is planned to develop a full-fledged package of solutions for the regulation and development of digital mining. In addition, all mining farms in the country will be identified and checked. As President Kassam-Jomart Tokayev noted at a recent expanded meeting of the government, the current rate 1 tenge per kilowatt of power is negligible. In the country, illegal crypto farms consume more than 1.4 gigawatt of electricity, which is 2 times more than officially operating miners use.
При действующей налоговой системе у нас намного выгоднее, чем тоже в Америке, там, в Европе.
With the current tax systems, it's much more profitable for them to be here than in, say, America or Europe. According to the president, the new tariffs and tax rates need to be tightened. That tax revenues should be increased by raising rates. This may scare away mining companies. They can take their business elsewhere if it will become unprofitable for them to stay in Kazakhstan.
Свернуть просто деятельность, если им невыгодно ставить деятельность в Казахстане.
Kazakhstan has lately been one of the world leaders in mining cryptocurrencies. So in August of last year, the country ranked second in the world, 18% of the global mining volume after the United States. Russia is coming third. Kazakhstan recorded a rise in cases of the coronavirus infection again. 3,329 people were infected here in the past 24 hours. The city of Almaty registered the highest single-day case count. 938 people tested positive for COVID-19 there. Karaganda region came next with 310 patients. Nur-Sultan took the third place. 305 people were infected with the dangerous disease in the capital. The total number of coronavirus cases confirmed in the country has exceeded 1,283,000 from the beginning of the pandemic. According to the Kazakh Ministry of Health, over 73,000 residents are continuing to receive treatment for COVID-19. More than 8,000 out of them are in hospitals. To date, over 8,844,000 people in Kazakhstan have been fully vaccinated with 2 components. % of the world's population has already been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. However, in low-income countries, the proportion of those who received at least 1 dose of the vaccine is only about 10%. In this regard, experts say that the problem of inequality in the distribution of drugs has not been yet solved. Meanwhile, the Omicron strain continues to spread. 2 million infected people are recorded daily. The total number of infected has exceeded 400 million. According to the data for the last week, the US, France, Germany, Russia and Brazil have the highest morbidity rate. They account for about 40% of all new cases. Sweden lifted all restrictions imposed due to the coronavirus. The authorities explained the step by the high level of vaccination in the country. Today, it has reached 85%. In addition, fewer and fewer people are getting sick with severe forms of coronavirus and are being admitted to intensive care units. Testing for COVID-19 has been suspended even among those who have symptoms of the disease. Restrictions on holding public events were also lifted. Their participants will no longer need to present vaccination certificates. According to the Swedish Ministry of Health, more than 2.3 million cases of coronavirus infection were detected in the country during the pandemic.
Of course, it feels hopeful because it's nice to have the restrictions lifted and to be able to feel like you can live your own life freely. The virus can still mutate, but since a majority of people probably have already gotten it and a lot of people are being vaccinated, but I think you should still be careful, of course.
A number of quarantine restrictions will be lifted in the Czech Republic. From March 1st, residents and tourists will be required to wear a mask only in public places. Moreover, today the government will unveil the plans on how the unvaccinated will be able to attend public places and events again. And from February 18th, COVID certificates will no longer be required in institutions. The number of infected and hospitalized in the country is gradually decreasing. 63.5% of the population is vaccinated. From March 1st, few of the previously imposed restrictions will remain in force. Gradually, we will also increase the permitted number of visitors to cultural and sporting events. Kazakh playwright Rollan Seisenbayev was awarded the Golden Writer of the World Award. This high title is awarded to the most progressive, outstanding writers for works where they cover the themes of humanism, peace, goodness, justice, and universal values. The prestigious award was established by the International Art Centers Radius and Pegasus Brücke, as well as international public organizations of 10 countries.
Это не просто писатель, это гуманист, это человек, который несет духовное наследие наших предков. Из своих трудах, произведениях.
He is not just a writer, he is a humanist. He is a person who carries the spiritual heritage of our ancestors. The writer in his works vividly, objectively shows not only the image of the heroes, but reveals their mystery. And the most important criterion of humanity is the concept of conscience, which was written about by great writers like Abay Shakarim, because this is the philosophical value necessary for a person.
Об этом писали наши великие писатели, как Абай Шакарим, потому что это, наверное, та философская ценность, необходимая для человека.
His works skillfully combine the sophistication of classical music and the soulfulness of poetry. Georgy Sviridov, Soul and Music of Romance, a concert under such name took place at the Astana Opera Theatre. The legendary Soviet composer who left an indelible mark in the history of musical art of the last century left behind a rich creative legacy. A subtle interpretation of his works on the poems of poets such as Yesenin, Pushkin, Lermontov, Blok and Isaacian was performed by the honored figure of Kazakhstan, Azamat Zhalturkozov, and the mezzo-soprano Жанат Сапакова. The piano part was performed by Dolores Umbitaliyeva.
Этого композитора я очень люблю исполнять, потому что так как я
I really like to perform this composer. I was one of the first Kazakh residents to participate in the 5th Georgy Sviridov International Chamber Singers Competition. This competition has been going on since the 2000s. I was awarded the first prize at the 5th International Competition in 2014. Since then, I have very often, both in my concerts and at this evening, completely devoted myself to the work of Georgy Sviridov.
В своих концертах. И сегодняшний вечер полностью мы посвятили творчеству Георгия Васильевича Свиридова.
Музыкальный язык Георгия Свиридова очень непростой и сложный. Надо очень...
The musical language of Georgy Sviridov is not simple, it's very complex. It should be presented very professionally, competently, so that the public understands the essence, the mood and the content. This is what makes the concert difficult, since Sviridov's works are rarely used throughout entire concerts.
У нас редко поют именно целиком в концерте произведения Свиридова.